Big breaking news is that Ange Postecoglou has been sacked as the Nottingham Forest manager. 19 minutes after that 3-0 loss to Chelsea, he has been sent packing by Evangelos Marinakis, the owner of Nottingham Forest. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Yes, the big breaking news is that Nottingham Forest have sacked their manager, Ange Postecoglou, after only 8 games in charge. Yes, after only 8 games in charge, in which he managed to get 2 draws and 6 defeats. The draws did come against a Burnley in a 1-1 draw, while the other draw did come against a Real Betis in the UEFA Conference League. About almost just 39 days ago, when he took over the role after the sacking of Nuno Espirito Santo, a manager that I told you here on the channel they did not need to sack. Why did they sack him? Just a series of disagreements which Nuno Espirito Santo took public or to the media to express his frustration over the growing gap between him and the big man Evangelos Marinakis, following the appointment of Edu Gaspar Dawood as the head of global football in the cohort of clubs that the Greek businessman does own. That's at Nottingham Forest, Olympiacos, as well as Braga over there in Portugal. So in the just 19 minutes after, they suffered another loss, which was a 4th straight loss against Chelsea in the early kickoff of match day 8. That game kicking off at 2:30 p.m. East African time. 19 minutes after that game, he has been sacked. He has been sacked. Nottingham Forest put out a statement, or a brief statement in a tweet on their X handle, saying Nottingham Forest Football Club can confirm that after a series of disappointing results and performances, Ange Postecoglou has been relieved of his duties as head coach with immediate effect. The club will make no further comments at this time. It was that simple. It was that brief. And the writing was particularly on the wall that soon rather than later, given the impatience of Evangelos Marinakis, Ange Postecoglou was bound to leave. Like I said, 8 games managed, 6 defeats, and only 2 draws. The defeats did come against teams like Arsenal in the 3-0 loss. They lost to Sunderland by 0-0. They lost to Swansea by 3-2 as they knocked them out at the 3rd round of the EFL Cup or the Carabao Cup. Then they lost to Newcastle by 2-0, and they've lost to Chelsea by 3-0. Those goals scored by Joshua Achepong, Pedro Neto, as well as Richard James in that afternoon fixture, which did not have Enzo Maresca on the touchline following his suspension because he was given a red card for his skirmishes during the game against Liverpool, which they managed to win by 2-0. So there you have it. He's been shown the exit. I think the other loss came against who? I'm trying to sort of remember which one of the other teams that they did lose to. But it was 6 games that he did lose in charge of Nottingham Forest. Yes, in terms of playing style, they had shifted towards his kind of playing style, but defensively they were really poor. And I did say this, that the manager he brought in Ange Postecoglou, was a sharp contrast to the manager that he was replacing in Nuno Espirito Santo. He had the very conservative manager in Santo, and then he brought a very liberal manager in Ange Postecoglou. Plays expansive football, likes the high press, which leaves his team vulnerable. In any case, we saw evidence of that during his first successful campaign at Tottenham Hotspur, during which they finished, I think, 5th, which was good. But his subsequent season, having lost 22 games, yes, the other game he lost was against Midtjylland in the Europa League. And I remember particularly in that game because it was at home for Nottingham Forest, the fans were singing, "You're getting sacked in the morning, you're getting sacked in the morning." Well, he did not get sacked then, but 2 games later, he has been sacked because the results have not been good enough. The results have not been good enough. But like I was saying, defensively, they looked overly exposed. We saw a manager who guided Tottenham Hotspur through 22 league defeats last campaign, and then he managed to win them the UEFA Europa League. They finished 17th on the Premier League table. Now, those kinds of losses are relegation candidates. Those are the kinds of results that make you a relegation candidate, and they only survived because the 3 teams that got cut off last season, including Leicester City being one of those, were so poor, so poor that they only survived literally by luck. But again, his appointment was a bit unpopular in a sense, not amongst the Nottingham Forest fans, because they had seen what he had taken Tottenham through the previous campaign, so he did not get the quick backing of the Nottingham Forest fans. He did not get the immediate results, which usually you sort of attach to a new manager, which we oftentimes call the new manager bump. We did not experience that. Within the dressing room, it's not to say that there were any divisions reported amongst the players, but it is safe to say that they did miss their father figure in Nuno Espirito Santo, who they sacked, and not because results were not coming their way, but part of the reasons as why they sacked him was because, he wasn't playing the sort of fancy football that they would have loved, the sort of entertaining football that they would have loved. And I remember making the argument at the time that Nottingham Forest are not a team in position to be sacking managers who are getting results but are not playing fancy football. They are not yet at that stage. You need to stay in the Premier League for 6-8 seasons and guarantee that you are now finishing within the top 10 season in, season out, and not coming on the back of one season at the surviving relegation, because in the 2023-2024 campaign, they finished 17th on the Premier League club. It was Nuno Espirito Santo who saved them from relegation after the sacking of Steve Cooper. Now he walks in his first full campaign. He guides them to a 7th place finish. They were pushing for the top 4. They never got it, but it was good enough. So you need to finish within the top, top 8, top 10 for at least 4-6 consecutive seasons, or even 8, for you to begin cherry picking to say, now I want to play entertaining football. But at the stage where they are, Nottingham Forest as Nottingham Forest, they're a team that needs a result. Whichever way they get them, they just need results. They have the good quality players. They just need a manager that can get them playing well. Because you have Morgan Gibbs-White, you have Chris Wood, you have Timothy Awoniyi, you have the likes of Elliot Anderson, you have Milinkovic, you have Moriro, the defender, Ola Aina, all those Calum Hudson-Odoi, the goalkeeper Matt Sells, all those are very, very good players. Douglas Luiz, Zichenko, on loan from Juventus and Arsenal respectively. You have that facet, Ibrahim Sangare. You have that cohort of good players that can get you the decent results. Be about results. Get the results. Stay in the top flight. You qualified for the UEFA Europa League, even though you had to go through the window, because essentially they qualified for the UEFA Conference League, but because Crystal Palace were penalized for, being found in breach of the UEFA rules against mad club ownership, they had to be relegated to the UEFA Conference League, and Nottingham Forest were elevated to the UEFA Europa League. You're in that competition. Go in that competition. Try to make your mark. Show a bit of consistency that you can participate in that competition and remain competitive in the Premier League, and then qualify for the same competition, maybe for 2-3 seasons one. Maybe, who knows, you get a good chance and break through into the UEFA Champions League places and things like that. Because Nuno Espirito Santo guided them to qualification for Europe for the first time in 30 years. I mean, that's kudos. That's kudos to him. But because he had disagreements, or he expressed his frustration of the growing gap between him and the boss Evangelos Marinakis, which he made public not just once, but at least twice when it came out publicly. There was a full-blown war between him and Edu Gaspar Dawood that they did not see eye to eye on so many things, including squad building. And he wanted a bit of a narrow squad to sort of keep players happy, guarantee playing time, and things like that. While Edu Gaspar Dawood wanted a big squad because they were going to have responsibilities in Europe, while also wanting to stay competitive in the domestic league, as well as, play strong in the cup competitions. So they had their, own disagreements internally, but I did not think they necessitated the sacking of the manager. In any case, my argument was, if I'm Evangelos Marinakis, if I wanted to let go one of the two, it had to be Edu Gaspar Dawood, as opposed to being Nuno Espirito Santo, because he was a manager that was guaranteed results. Do let me know what your thoughts are about the sacking of Ange Postecoglou and what your thoughts are on that. But Evangelos Marinakis will only have himself to blame for the ruins he has taken his club into, just because he made a very bad decision, a very unpopular decision, based on emotions, based on his personal sentiments. And like I said, he could have invited him out for a cup of coffee, and they would have had the conversation, and resolve that matter and say, look here, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to streamline and do Gaspar Daoud's work, we're going to push him maybe towards Olympiacos, or this is how the kind of model we're going to adopt. But please, let's not, make this a public spot or anything like that, and things like that, and get on with things. Then two, now they can no longer get him because he has already gotten a new job elsewhere. He is in charge of West Ham, and I do not think for any reason whatsoever he's going to dump West Ham to return to Nottingham Forest. So they are going to be back in the market for a managerial change. Do let me know what your thoughts are. What you think the future of Nottingham Forest this season is going to be like, given now that they are changing managers, like they are changing diapers. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now. But do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Bye bye.